everybody. Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love. I'm a keynote and motivational speaker, and we are virtual today.
Yes, we are virtual, but it is still the Hustling Sideways
It
podcast.
is. It exists. That's right. Good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Friday
Yeah.
afternoon. Alan and I are hanging out, and here we are.
Yeah. I just saw an Instagram account that's called Could Be the Move, where it
Mm,
just talks about things that could be the move. And one of them is to just have a casual Zoom call with your friends.
I
And you
think
know
that's a
what?
good move. Yeah, that COVID taught us one thing: you don't need to be together all the time to like have a drink, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Amen to
That's
that.
it.
When we don't have guests on, like we've had the last few weeks from the 707 Hub at Marquette University, we also talk about all the different things that we go through as side hustlers with side businesses, in addition to our 9 to 5s as well. Today, we are talking about competition, and not in a bad way. We're not talking about like smack
Yeah.
about the competition. But we are talking about how we kind of view competition and maybe how that has changed.
Hmm.
I don't know what
Yeah. Yeah.
the competitive keynote speaker world is like, Jim. Are people
Yeah.
competitive?
Yeah. I'll share. So it's not competitive in a way. I mean, we all want to get a gig. We all want to, grow our business, but it's definitely more helpful than it is competitive. So for example, like I've gotten twice this year where someone reached out and I can't make it. And I'm like, well, I can't go, but I have two people in mind that can go. And we'll always try and like, if I know what someone's niche is, and like someone's asked me to come do it, like I'm like, hey, you're probably better off working with this person. So if you're well connected in that world, it's good. The one thing on this that I was thinking about, Alan, when we like we're going back and forth, like my view of competition has evolved, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, spoiler alert, speaking is my side hustle. It's not what I do all the time, right? So some of my friends do it all the time. So they're putting a lot of energy. I mean, it's their job to get booked and to do it. I don't get booked as much as they do, obviously. Like I'm not putting it,
Mm-hmm.
why am I word of mouth? So I was jealous for a while, where I was like, damn, like I should be out there doing this more often. And
Right.
that was probably like in my first 2 years, 3 years, when I was like really getting started. And then when I found my thing and just kind of went, and I'm more now cheering for them versus like that sucks. I wish I had more. And it took a while.
Sure.
That's like when you see someone doing the thing that is your dream to do more than you're doing it. That's obviously hard to swallow. But then you're like, that's not my life. Like I have a career. This is what I do on the side. I have a business that I've come up with, and it's gone well. So that turned into like that's awesome for them. And then like how can we work together? So I've done this a few times where people who I know think pretty similarly than I do, or people I even like went to school with, like Kyle Wolcombe has been on the show before. Like I'll ask
Mm-hmm.
them, like, what are you up to? Are you in town? And actually, Kyle and I collaborated in November on a like a weekend. We did a full leadership weekend. It was just him and I running it, which was so much fun. And so it doesn't always work, but every now and then you can get something where like you take the lead on it. Someone's like your side speaker, if you will, which is a good time. But I definitely went from being jealous, which is not a good look, but it's a reality, to being more like that's great. I'm glad they're doing it. And then like where are they going? And is there anything I need to learn from what they're doing? So the competition in the speaking world is really cool, and it's definitely generational. Like it depends on like I know some speakers who are in their 50s and 60s, like we think differently, and that's okay. And then some that are just
Yeah.
getting started. We talked to like Jason Smith before, and others who are kind of in my area where they've done it for a while, 10-year veteran, et cetera. But it's supportive because it has to be. Like our
Sure.
business crumbled, as yours did a lot right in 2020, and like there just wasn't stuff to do, and we were all yearning for it, and we found our kind of our thing, and now it's more supportive than as anything else, which is a lot of fun, and you want each other to succeed. So that's how I view it, and it has shifted. I know yours has as well, which we'll hear in a second, but
Yeah.
it should evolve, it should shift. You should want to like win, you should want to do your thing, but you can also be supportive of what other people are doing in your same field.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, it has shifted for me in my world of just like creating media, and like the reality is competition is heavy, right? Like
No,
you
yeah.
are competing with literally everything in the world ever that has ever been posted up to the internet. So, to get attention is one thing, but also people are just so incredibly siloed, and there isn't like a shared experience to the level that there used to be for sure anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, when I was very, very new to this and starting my music website, I was totally of the belief that I was going to become great and we were going to put everybody like out of business. Like
Mm.
this thing was going to be huge, and
Yeah.
nobody else in Milwaukee was going to want to read anybody else's stuff because they were all coming to me. That has shifted immensely. And you know what? But the way that it has shifted for me has been entirely different than kind of what you had, where you're still being helpful with everyone. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily helpful, but I'm not going at everybody with like the chip on my shoulder the way that I
Mm.
used to. You know what I
That
mean? Like
makes
I don't
sense.
have this
Totally.
kind of feeling of like I'm gonna put these guys out of business, right?
Hmm.
Especially because my main job is I also work for one of those things that I thought I would put out of
Right.
business
That'd
possibly.
be a catch
You
22,
know,
huh? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like that evolved, with my career being able to jump like into media full time was like
Yeah.
something that changed my outlook on things. Right. I
Hmm.
still now I'm like of that belief that like I still want to put out the best thing that I could put out. I still want to
Right.
be the best version of whatever my website's going to be.
Hmm.
Whatever it looks like from year to year, it kind of changes now. But I
Yeah.
think it's not so much about like putting the other thing out of business or being the one game in town as opposed to being like I just don't expend the energy on that anymore.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like I don't really I want to say I don't care, but I kind of don't care like what everybody else is doing as far as, writing about music or covering music
Totally.
in Milwaukee.
Yeah. You do
Because
your own thing.
I just totally I'm like, what was that getting me? Right. Like I
Yeah.
totally had to have a sit down with myself and be like, is it worth it to even like
Hmm.
be annoyed with, whatever headline got out before me or
For
whatever,
sure. For
whoever
sure.
got whatever interview or event or whatever, right?
Yeah, you can spend your life feeling like sulky, that you didn't get the thing, but then go do
Yeah.
your thing, like and that
Yeah.
will come. And I'm with you on that one. It's easy to look at what everyone else is doing at all times and comparing, but it's not a reality for success. Like you have to pick up
Mhm.
and you got to do what you do well and do it a lot and hope that that comes and becomes successful for you.
Yeah, and I will say that like honestly the stuff that I've been doing lately, like probably the last year or so, I've really kind
Hmm.
of stopped caring what other people were doing or what other people thought of my
For
site
sure.
and just
Yeah,
focused on that. And it's been the more fulfilling year than
that's great.
most because I'm focusing on just putting out the best thing possible. And if
Yeah,
somebody else has something else that they like, meh, whatever.
great. Yeah,
Everybody's, like you'll find your people,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
now, like with the way that media and social media works, where like you'll find your people for sure.
Hmm. You
So
get your tribe.
yeah,
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 no doubt.
exactly. So that's how we approach competition. I still have that chip on my shoulder. Don't get me wrong, but it's just in
Yeah,
a
you always
different
want to
way.
win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
don't want to, yeah, you don't want to go out there and be, I don't know what sports team would be just mediocre all the time and happy with it. The
Like
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland, I feel like yeah, there's a Cleveland vibe and all of that, I guess.
I do like that we both landed on Cleveland instinctively. I swear we didn't practice that.
No,
That
we
just
did
came up
not.
in the moment.
It did. It worked out
So
well.
we don't want to be the Cleveland Browns, but
Yeah, rough.
yeah. Anyway, that's how we view competition. We want to know how you view competition as well. We're the Hustling Sideways podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snap. Why do I always say Snapchat? Not on Snapchat. We're on
That's okay.
LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We're all over the places. Just search Hustling Sideways and you'll find us. If you want to be a guest on the show and talk virtually with Jim and I or sit in this room with me, you can do that. Send us an email at hustlingsideways@gmail.com or fill out the form on our Instagram. And Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we'll see you next week.
Peace.